Hey everybody, this is Jim Willard, the Executive Director of the Impact Project. I want to talk to you today about Shenango County. I'd first like to start off with, I've lived here personally for almost 30 years. Shenango County is one of the most awesome places to live. And when things get down, we just rally together, and I'm proud to say that I live in Shenango County, and everybody that's part of the Impact Project is proud to say that they live in Shenango County. Unfortunately, we have a problem. Actually, we have a crisis, a housing crisis that is in this county. As you may or may not know, there's over 5,000 homes that are vacant, as one that is just behind me. We seem to see about 2 to 3 families every single week that fold up and leave their homes because they can't fix their homes. Their roof goes, their furnace goes, their foundation goes, they no longer have good water from their well, their septic goes, and obviously the grass starts to grow around the house, and ultimately at the end of the day, the family just packs up and leaves. This is a great county to live in. We want these families to stay here.
I'm Elizabeth Monaco. I'm the Executive Director of the Shenango United Way.
Thanks for doing this.
Absolutely.
I'm sure you're well aware of the numbers. We roughly have in the county almost 25,000 housing units. That's single-wide trailers, modulars, single-story, two-story, multiple-story. We know that easily over 5,000 of the 25, to keep the numbers simple, are vacant. They're vacant. They're just sitting there, and every week that goes by, on average, we have 2 more homes that become vacant. Mm-hmm. That's the path that we're on. So that leaves us with 20,000 homes, keeping numbers simple. Out of the 20,000, if you put Alice, which the United Way focuses a lot of its attention on, mm-hmm. and poverty, mm-hmm. And depending on what part of the county, would it be safe to say that half the people fall in poverty in Alice?
Yeah, our Alice numbers for Shenango County are around 43%, a little higher in some of our more rural communities. Alice stands for Asset Limited, Income Constrained, Employed. So it's our working families who are struggling to make ends meet every day. In some of them are more rural, smaller communities. That number can be upwards of 52, 53%, which is certainly concerning. So those families are struggling to pay their housing costs, their electric costs, their childcare costs, food costs, all of those things that are everyday basic needs. And depending on the week, they might be saying, do I pay my rent? Do I pay my utility bill? Do I go buy groceries today? Do I pay my childcare costs? So it's a struggle every day for those families.
And then you add poverty to that.
And then you add
which is another 13 to 15%,
Absolutely.
or 17, depending on who you're talking
Absolutely.
to. So we're talking half to 60%
Yes.
of the population.
Yes.
Which breaks down to 10,000 houses.
Yes.
Now, we also know that the housing inventory in Shenango County is aged.
Yes.
A lot. We have almost 70% of the homes are at least a half a century old, and almost 40% of the homes are 80 years or older.
Yeah, well, you mentioned earlier about people leaving their home when it becomes so bad that they can't live there anymore.
Right, they just cash it in.
Right, it's easier for them to just do that. So I get what their rationale is, but the problem is that when they leave that home, they're most likely also leaving their place of employment. They're taking their child out of school that they're used to, where they have consistency in academics, where they have relationships. The entire family is in essence falling apart because they're leaving that home. That's not something we want to see have happen. That's the worst case scenario, in my opinion. So whatever we need to do to make sure that that family stays in that home is something that we need to focus on, because as soon as that family leaves that home, everything else falls apart. We want to keep that family employed. We want to keep those kids in that school so they have, those academics and those relationships and all of those things stay in place. If we can keep that family in that home, we can keep all those other things going for that family. As soon as that ends, we lose touch with that family and everything else potentially falls apart.
Loosen up. Wow.
Man.
Dude.
It's all business now.
All business.
We're in it. Let's do it.
You just snap by your mic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Best way to tell is just by going down the street. You know, you can drive in pretty much any community in Shenango County and you'll see a vacant home somewhere. And I know in Preston we had a trailer that you know, had been standing for about like a year, and it was totally like collapsed in, but it was still standing there, and they finally went through and got rid of it. But now it's just an empty lot, you know, so these homes are just falling apart, and unfortunately most of them are either being torn down or left.
But the general thing in Shenango County is we've got about roughly 13 to 15% of the population is in poverty.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on what part of the county, you've got somewhere between 40 and 50% or 55% are in Alice.
Mm-hmm.
So the numbers shake out, you know, easily between 50 and 60% of the population is struggling.
Mm-hmm.
A big part of the solution is keeping people in their homes.
I agree. Now, I'm going to go back a little bit. I've been mayor for 25 years, so I've got a little different perspective on things, a different historical perspective. And what I saw happen was that property taxes increased so much that what occurred was that people could pay for their mortgage and they could pay for their house, but they couldn't afford the property taxes. So once you get in a home, there's the issue of trying to be able to stay in the home and afford to stay in the home. And I can remember when I first ran for office, again, 25 years ago, I sat with an elderly woman who said, I can't afford the taxes on my house. So she ended up in a subsidized housing unit. And one of the social changes that has occurred is that, you know, grandmother, mother would be in the home, and kids would kind of gravitate back to that house as the, you know, touchstone for their family, and they would live under grandma's rules. Now something's changed, so government came to help, and they created subsidized housing, and we have quite a bit of it. And there's a lot of money available for subsidized housing. We have some subsidized housing in our community. Not a lot, but we have some.
Yep.
And some of the elderly and, you know, less fortunate are able to go there and live within, you know, their means with some type of stipend or help from the government.
Yep.
So that's a social change that I've seen. So going back to your point about, you know, vacant houses and trying to keep, you know, people in the home, the taxes now are still, you know, there are some things that have subsidized school taxes called the STAR exemption in New York State. That's helped. But at the same time, there's still that tax issue.
Yep.
You know, even if the home is paid for, they still have to come up with that money. And if you're living on Social Security and a small pension, which is the case for most people here,
That's correct.
they're not mobile. They don't move to a tax-free state like Florida because they're not mobile, because they don't have the money to move. So they're kind of stuck here to live in that situation. So speaking to what Impact Project does, which, you know, you mentioned I've been on a couple of your projects, you have gone to homes where people just didn't have that extra money to finish the roof and keep the roof from leaking.
And the support, like they don't have family, a lot of family and friends, or
True.
they're handicapped,
True.
money, they don't
Yeah.
have the know-how. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sorry, yep.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I mean, you don't know hardship until your roof's leaking and you can't fix it.
Right.
I mean, that's, and some of the things that, you know, some of the cases that you've done and I've gone out and watched, it's been heartwarming to see a roof go on a house and to see the tears come out of people's eyes because you stopped their roof from leaking,
Right.
which is pretty bad. But they're willing to stay in their home as long as they can.
Well, they're gonna-
And human nature is that people want to stay in their home as
Right.
long as they can.
Right, well, it's our home.
It's their home. So they're comfortable there, they want to stay there, and it made sense to go out and help these people stay in the home. And a lot of these folks, you know, pay their taxes, pay their bills on time, and do what they can to stay in that house. So, you know, that model makes sense to me.
And you're
Jim Duvall. I work here at Curtis Lumber as contractor sales, and I've been with them just over 5 years now.
to start with the thing that you and I have talked about, people come in here all the time.
Right.
Curtis Lumber stores all over the region, not just Shenango County. And you hear the infamous line, how can I fix
Yeah.
X problem as cheap as possible?
Right.
How often in a day on average do you say you hear that?
Oh, you hear it a few times every day. You know, I have this problem and I just need to fix it now. You don't hear what's the absolute correct way to fix it. I don't care how much it costs. It's what's the cheapest way I can fix this to get by with it now. They don't have the money or the people to get them the help to do it right, so they're just trying to get by. Like you said, you know, they're living week to week on a paycheck, and they don't have room in there to fix the problem correctly. Literally had people call here because he has a leak in his roof, and what size tarps do we have? You know, and if you drive around Shenango County, you can see houses. I go by 2 or 3 every day that literally have tarps on them that are worn away because that's how they've kept the water out of their house. And that tarp's probably been on there 8 years.
It must have been stressful living that way every day.
Yes.
You were just waiting for whatever. Whatever was going to do, this was going to be it.
Yeah.
How long was it like that? I mean, when it really, before you found out of the impact project, how long were you grinding day-to-day life that way?
Oh, probably 5 years.
Yeah.
5 years.
Yeah.
Because my husband couldn't do anything.
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
He was not breathing.
So the two of you physically couldn't fix your home.
No.
A lot of your friends are retired like you. Physically, you can't climb up on a roof and do it yourself or whatever. Financially, you didn't have the ability.
No.
This really didn't have a good ending.
Yeah, right.
So the arrangement we made with you was, we'll give you a new place to live, which we're sitting in here today.
Yes. It was amazing because I looked at this and I thought, oh, this is my home?
Your home.
Yeah.
For those people that are watching this that say, oh, Jim, you know, there's you know, everything's fine. It's just once in a while there's some people that aren't doing well. Then there's those people that aren't doing well that where you were 15, 20 years ago. What's your message to them today? They're sitting in their homes, their roof leaks, their furnace is going, they don't, you know.
Call the impact project. You know?
Yeah. Why not wait?
No. I waited too long.
How does it feel today versus 10, 15 years ago? I mean, where, like, as a person, you're stressed?
No, I'm not stressed.
Right.
It's just amazing, this trailer, you know. This mobile home.
It's your home.
Yeah.
It's Irma's place.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, Jim Willard here with the final wrap-up of our documentary. I just want to thank everybody that's watched this. Hopefully this will give you all the angles to this crisis that we have in Shenango County. I just want to thank everybody that has supported this organization and join us as we continue to combat this crisis in Shenango County going forward. God bless and have a great day.